Yes, a subpanel can be installed in a closet in a bathroom for the water heater, but it must meet specific electrical code requirements. Here are the requirements for subpanel installation in a bathroom closet. The subpanel installation must comply with the latest edition of the National Electrical Code or NEC. The closet must be adequately ventilated to prevent heat buildup from the water heater and electrical equipment. Install a dedicated vent or open louvers to allow for air circulation. The subpanel must be installed in an accessible location within the closet, not blocking access to the water heater or other equipment. Maintain a minimum clearance of 30 inches in front of the subpanel for safe operation and maintenance. The subpanel and its components must be protected from moisture and humidity. Use non-corrosive materials and seal any gaps or openings where moisture could enter. A ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, must be installed in the subpanel to protect against electrical shock hazards. Include at least one electrical receptacle in a closet for convenience, such as for a vacuum cleaner or other appliances. Use appropriate wiring materials and sizing according to the NEC requirements. Label the subpanel and its circuits clearly for easy identification. Additional considerations include fire safety. Ensure that the subpanel and wiring do not pose a fire hazard. Use fire-resistant materials and install smoke detectors in the closet. The subpanel installation should not interfere with the accessibility of the water heater for maintenance or repairs. Coordinate with a plumber to ensure that any plumbing penetrations do not interfere with the electrical installation. It is highly recommended to hire a licensed electrician to perform the subpanel installation to ensure compliance with electrical codes and safety regulations. When installing a subpanel, firstly, compliance with the National Electrical Code, or NEC, is paramount. This code dictates the standards for safe electrical installations. It's updated regularly, so always refer to the latest edition. Secondly, adequate ventilation is crucial. Electrical components generate heat, and a confined space like a closet can lead to overheating. Ensure proper ventilation to prevent this. Thirdly, accessibility is key. The subpanel needs to be readily accessible for maintenance and repairs. Avoid placing it behind obstructions or in hard-to-reach areas. Fourthly, maintain proper clearance. The NEC specifies minimum clearance requirements around electrical panels to provide sufficient working space for electricians. Typically, this involves a clear space of 30 inches in front of the panel and a certain height and width. Fifthly, moisture protection is vital. Bathrooms are inherently humid environments. Protect the subpanel from moisture to prevent corrosion and electrical hazards. Sixthly, GFCI protection is a must. Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are designed to quickly cut off power in the event of a ground fault, protecting against electrical shock. Seventhly, consider convenient receptacles. Having at least one electrical receptacle in the closet can be useful for various purposes. Eighthly, use appropriate wiring. The wiring must be sized correctly to handle the electrical load and meet NEC requirements. Ninthly, labeling is essential. Clearly label the subpanel and its circuits to facilitate easy identification and troubleshooting. Tenthly, prioritize fire safety. Ensure that the subpanel and wiring do not pose a fire hazard. Use fire-resistant materials and consider installing smoke detectors in the closet. Furthermore, the subpanel installation should not obstruct access to the water heater. Regular maintenance of the water heater is necessary, and the subpanel should not impede this. Plumbing considerations are also important. Coordinate with the plumber to ensure that any plumbing penetrations do not interfere with the electrical installation. The NEC provides specific guidelines for wiring and circuit protection. Article 210 covers branch circuits, including requirements for the number of circuits, conductor sizing, and overcurrent protection. Article 220 deals with branch circuit, feeder, and service calculations, which are crucial for determining the correct size of conductors and overcurrent devices. Article 240 addresses overcurrent protection, including the types of overcurrent devices, their ratings, and their applications. Article 250 covers grounding and bonding, which are essential for safety and for providing a low impedance path for fault currents. Article 300 outlines general wiring methods, including requirements for cable support, protection, and installation. Article 310 provides tables for conductor ampacity, which is the maximum current a conductor can carry continuously under specific conditions of use. Article 408 covers switchboards, switchgear, and panel boards, including requirements for their construction, installation, and wiring. When selecting a subpanel, consider its ampacity rating. The ampacity rating should be sufficient to handle the total load of the circuits it will serve. Also, choose a subpanel with an adequate number of circuit breakers to accommodate future expansion. The subpanel should be mounted securely to a wall or other suitable surface. Ensure that the mounting hardware is appropriate for the type of wall construction. When running wires to the subpanel, use appropriate wiring methods, such as conduit or cable. Support the wires properly and protect them from physical damage. Connect the wires to the circuit breakers and neutral busbar according to the NEC requirements. Tighten all connections securely to prevent loose connections, which can cause overheating and electrical problems. Grounding is a critical aspect of electrical safety. Ensure that the subpanel is properly grounded by connecting it to the grounding electrode system. The grounding electrode system typically consists of a ground rod, a metal water pipe, or a concrete-encased electrode. Connect the equipment grounding conductors from the circuits to the grounding busbar in the subpanel. The equipment grounding conductors provide a path for fault currents to return to the source, which helps to trip the circuit breaker in the event of a ground fault. After completing the installation, test the circuits to ensure that they are working properly. Use a multimeter to check the voltage and current on each circuit. Also, test the GFCI receptacles to ensure that they are functioning correctly. Label each circuit breaker with the corresponding load that it serves. This will make it easier to identify and troubleshoot problems in the future. Keep a record of the subpanel installation, including the wiring diagram, the circuit breaker schedule, and the inspection report. This record will be helpful for future maintenance and repairs. Consider the specific requirements for installing electrical equipment in bathrooms. The NEC has specific rules for the location of receptacles, switches, and lighting fixtures in bathrooms. Also, be aware of the potential for moisture and humidity in bathrooms, and take steps to protect electrical equipment from these elements. In general, electrical installations should be performed by qualified electricians who are familiar with the NEC and local electrical codes. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to prevent electrical shock and fire. When working with electricity, always turn off the power to the circuit before starting any work. Use insulated tools and wear appropriate personal protective equipment. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to do the work. A properly installed subpanel can provide a convenient and safe way to distribute power to various loads. However, it is important to follow all applicable electrical codes and safety regulations to ensure a safe and reliable installation. The subpanel should be sized appropriately for the loads it will serve. Consider the total ampacity of all the circuits that will be connected to the subpanel. The subpanel should have an ampacity rating that is equal to or greater in the total load. The subpanel should be located in a dry and accessible location. Avoid installing the subpanel in areas that are subject to moisture, such as bathrooms or laundry rooms. The subpanel should be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and all applicable electrical codes. The subpanel should be properly grounded to protect against electrical shock. The grounding conductor should be connected to a grounding electrode, such as a ground rod or a metal water pipe. All electrical connections should be made with approved connectors and wiring methods. The wiring should be properly supported and protected from physical damage. The circuit breakers in the subpanel should be sized appropriately for the loads they will serve. The circuit breakers should be labeled to indicate the circuits they protect. The subpanel should be inspected by a qualified electrical inspector to ensure that it meets all applicable codes and regulations. Regular maintenance should be performed on the subpanel to ensure that it is operating safely and efficiently. The circuit breakers should be tested periodically to ensure that they are tripping properly. The wiring should be inspected for any signs of damage or deterioration. The subpanel should be kept clean and free of debris. A bathroom's environment presents unique challenges for electrical installations. Moisture is a constant concern, as are the potential hazards associated with water and electricity. To mitigate these risks, the NEC has specific requirements for electrical work in bathrooms. Firstly, all receptacles in a bathroom must be GFCI protected. This includes receptacles that are part of a subpanel. GFCI protection is designed to prevent electrical shock by quickly interrupting the circuit when a ground fault is detected. Secondly, lighting fixtures in a bathroom must be suitable for wet locations. This means that they must be designed to withstand moisture and humidity. Thirdly, switches should be located away from water sources. The NEC specifies minimum distances for switches from sinks, showers, and tubs. Fourthly, any electrical equipment installed in a bathroom must be properly grounded. Grounding provides a path for fault currents to return to the source, which helps to trip the circuit breaker in the event of a ground fault. In addition to these general requirements, there are also specific considerations for installing a subpanel in a bathroom closet. The closet must be adequately ventilated to prevent heat buildup from the water heater and electrical equipment. A dedicated vent or open louvers can provide adequate ventilation. The subpanel must be installed in an accessible location within the closet, not blocking access to the water heater or other equipment. Maintain a minimum clearance of 30 inches in front of the subpanel for safe operation and maintenance. The subpanel and its components must be protected from moisture and humidity. Use non-corrosive materials and seal any gaps or openings where moisture could enter. Include at least one electrical receptacle in the closet for convenience. Use appropriate wiring materials and sizing according to the NEC requirements. Label the subpanel and its circuits clearly for easy identification. Ensure that the subpanel and wiring do not pose a fire hazard. Use fire-resistant materials and consider installing smoke detectors in the closet. The subpanel installation should not interfere with the accessibility of the water heater for maintenance or repairs. Coordinate with a plumber to ensure that any plumbing penetrations do not interfere with the electrical installation. Installing a subpanel in a bathroom closet requires careful planning and execution. It is essential to follow all applicable electrical codes and safety regulations to ensure safe and reliable installation. It is highly recommended to hire a licensed electrician to perform the subpanel installation. A licensed electrician has the knowledge and experience to ensure that the installation is done correctly and safely. They will also be familiar with the local electrical codes and regulations. The NEC is a comprehensive document that covers all aspects of electrical installations. It is essential to have a copy of the NEC and to be familiar with its requirement. The NEC is updated every 3 years, so it is important to have the latest edition. There are many resources available to help you understand the NEC. The National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, offers training courses and publications on the NEC. Your local electrical inspector can also provide guidance on the NEC requirements. When installing a subpanel, it is important to obtain the necessary permits from your local building department. The building department will inspect the installation to ensure that it meets all applicable codes and regulations. A licensed electrician can help you obtain the necessary permits and schedule the inspection. Installing a subpanel is a complex task that should only be performed by qualified individuals. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a licensed electrician to do the work. A properly installed subpanel can provide a safe and reliable source of power for your electrical needs. However, it is important to follow all applicable electrical codes and safety regulations to ensure a safe and reliable installation. The cost of installing a subpanel can vary depending on the complexity of the installation and the materials used. However, it is important to remember that safety is always the top priority. Do not cut corners or try to save money by using unqualified individuals or substandard materials. Hire a licensed electrician and use high-quality materials to ensure a safe and reliable installation. The long-term benefits of a properly installed subpanel will outweigh the initial cost. A properly installed subpanel will provide a safe and reliable source of power for your electrical needs for many years to come. It will also increase the value of your home.